learned scholars and friends. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Jacobite, not for having invited me, but for having conducted such great conferences for the last 3 decades, something which I have never come across anywhere in India for such a long period of time. Okay, my topic is models for indigenization, Indianization, and the third word is Inculturation. These models are given by Kerala's Oriental Eastern churches. Actually, I have got 2 papers. I am trying to change them one from the other, and so you will have to run with me if I have to finish something up. Many of the things I am going to show you have already seen at Pudupalli, at Menacherry, and at Baranagana. And you will be seeing many of these things again during your grade 2 you are having in the coming day. So, yes. Indigenization. The term Indigenization, along with words like dialogue and ecumenism, became frequent in the conversations of scholars in India in the 50s and even more frequent in the 70s, especially after the Second Vatican Council. Many came back to Kerala after studies abroad or even in the northern universities and theology colleges, fully determined to Indianize dialogue parishioners of the Thomas Christians. I'll tell you a short, a short story about what happened to a scholar. A great scholar who had studied in Rome, who came back and he wanted to Indianize the parish. He went to the handicrafts emporium, he purchased a big bronze lamp, brought it and put it in the middle of the church, lit it and said, "We must not Indianize ourselves." There was an old man sitting in the corner. He said, "Father, why did you spend so much of money to buy this bronze lamp? There are half a dozen bronze lamps already in our church, old ones." So, this is what happened to this Indigenization effort. Next. To talk about Indianizing the Kerala churches is like talking about baptizing the Pope, or like teaching the patriarch his catechism. Because this is a church which is already Indianized, and now you talk about Indianizing something which is so much Indianized, it's funny. Because Christianity in Kerala goes back almost to the birth of Kerala culture itself, as we know it today. And perhaps Christianity is the oldest organized religion now existing in Kerala. I don't want to go into the details of it. Yes. All, one example only I am giving, all Hindu idols or vigrahas in Kerala are later than the Parsi and Persian process. There is no Hindu vigraha in Kerala earlier than the Farabi course of the Periyapatti or the St. Thomas Mount or other place. I am giving only some examples of these vigrahas or idols. Ardhanarishwara appears in Kerala only after the 9th century, Ganesha 8th century, Anandashali 8th century, Dakshinamurti 8th century, Harihara 11th century, Jalaharishwara 13th century, Jashta 11th century, Trimurti 8th century, and the Saptamana only in the 14th century. So no, this is from the Archaeological Survey of India, Director Sundarajan, this book. So all the vigrahas in Kerala of the Hindus are post the cross. Common cultural heritage of Orthodox, Jacobite, Marcoma, Syro-Malabar, Syro-Malabar churches and eventually promote ecumenism. You might have heard, up to perhaps, that there is some quarrel among many of our churches. on liturgy, on the use of this language or that language, or on so many other things. There are many controversial points which are going on. These controversies are continuing. But there is one thing which can unite all these cultures because they have a common tradition of culture. All these cultures I have mentioned there have a common tradition of culture. Whether you go to the Pudupalli Church of the Orthodox or the Menacherry Church of the Syrian Jacobite or the Menacherry Church of the Syriac or the other churches you are visiting, you will find all these cultural things in those churches I have mentioned, like the rounders, the flagstaff, the lamps, the costume of the people, the ornaments, the next one, devotions, umbrellas, art, architecture. This is from the Padani near Kundangalam of the Orthodox, like one of the celebrants supporting the belief. And that is, I think, from the Tripura, the railings in the Tripura on the right hand side, which you will be visiting on day after tomorrow. Now, what I wanted to say was, any of these things I can explain for maybe 1 hour each, but I am not going to do that. But I will say one word about the costume and the ornaments, because it is there now. Costume. You know the Nazranis were wearing white dress. And the undergarments, the Brahmin women of Kerala, the wives of the women of the Namboodiris, also are wearing white dress. Why? Because all Brahmins in India, except in Kerala, take Tamil Nadu, take Andhra Pradesh, take Karnataka, wear only dark colored clothes. Dark greens, dark blues, Kanchipuram, this, that. But only in Kerala, the Christians are having this white dress, which is also worn by the Brahmin women, probably taking it only from the Nazarene. Another about the ornaments also we say one word. See, Shankara says for the Brahmin women, Nasa Varanam Nishittam, that is the Nasa ornament is forbidden for the Brahmin women in Kerala. But you know, Brahmin women all over India are always wearing the Nasa ornaments except the Brahmin women in Kerala. Why? Because Nasa Varanam is Nishittam or forbidden for the Nasranis. They don't use them. Nowadays, some Nasrani women are using all types of ornaments. I am not talking about that. But until recently, this Nasa ornament was never used by the Nasrani women. And this is also the case with the Brahmin women in Kerala. So, showing the influence of the Nasranis in costume, in ornaments in Kerala. Okay. And another thing about the status of the Nasranis. We find that the Thomas Christian was always very influential in the fields of finance, trade, agriculture, martial arts, governance, and always occupied a very high social status, who even had to wash themselves if touched by an Nair who is untouchable as a Shudra. You know, all Nayars are Shudras. And even the Ambalavadis, like warriors and what others, they are all Shudras, they call themselves Sat-Shudras. They are all Shudras. And in the document of the Synod of Diamba, I have quoted the number, it is said, if hereafter Christians after touching Nayars must not wash themselves, says Archbishop Menacherry. That means that was the custom until that time. Even now, all the Nayars are only Shudras, the fourth caste. And the duty of the Shudra is to serve the other three castes. I am not going to, it's not because of any communal problems that because many of my friends are, close friends are Nayars, but so that we know who we are, to have some self-confidence. That's all. Yes. In the Ramban quarter, we know probably the present version is of the 16th century, doesn't matter, narrates how the first converts in Kerala included many from the royal family and how the apostle, when he had gone to the east, he was invited by the son-in-law, the nephew of the king, brought back to Menacherry. And among the first converts described in the Ramayana and other such documents is the Kerala king, his daughter, his son-in-law, his nephew, and others connected to the court are seen as actively participating in the establishment of the church in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. This is one of the first instances showing the significant role of the lay person in the origin and growth of the church in Kerala. In Rome, when you study the catacombs, you understand how the members of the imperial household, members of the nobility, members of the elite court were all responsible for the beginning and growth of Christianity in Rome also. A similar situation you find here also. Yes. And I'm not saying this status of the Christians just. There are copper plate grants given by the emperors to the Thomas Christians. This copper plate is between the 6th and the 8th centuries, given to a Nasrani called Irabi Kortan. Yeah. The following grant, and I'm quoting from that grant, given by the copper plate grant. The following grant was made in the royal palace. We have given to Iravi Kortan of Mahadeva Pattanam, and supposed to be called Grand Merchant of the German world, the Lordship of Manigrama. We have also given to him the right of the feast clothes, house pillars, all the revenue, the carved sword and with it the sovereign merchantship, the right of proclamation, the privilege of having 4 members, the 5 musical instruments, the corns, burning torch by day, the spreading cloth, the palanquin, the royal umbrella, bodyguard drum, the gateway with seats and ornamental arches, and the sovereign merchantship over the 4 classes. Also the oil matters and the 5 kinds of artifices we have subjected to him. See, such was the status given to the Syrian Christians or the Thomas Christians in Kerala by all the kings continuously. Next, this is a continuation of that. Look at the last slide. And all these I am giving also to his sons and sons' sons in proper succession. The next plate is of this plate now is in the Orthodox Development part of it. The other part is in the Marthoma Pulati in Tiruvalla because they partition. And the partition also the copper plates. Some plates kept in the Development, some went to the. Why it came to the Development in the first place? Because these were in the Dutch custody. And when the Dutch were defeated by the British, they took it and they took the Orthodox Church. And when they partitioned, some of them went to the Marthoma. See, this is of 849 AD. And that is a reference there to another plate of the 825 AD. All these privileges are given to the Thomas Christians by the kings of old and their representatives. This is what you find there. Yes. This is the mold of the copper plates in the Cambridge University. The mold only, not the originals. Here, the mold in the Cambridge University. I have just given them as a sample. Originals, you can go to the development and see if the Idealization is willing to show you them. And you can go to the Marthoma Pulati and see them if the Metropolitan is willing to show you. See, yes. I need to mention one thing because it is in my own city, the Thrissur Pura. This is a compendium of celebrated according to the National Geographic. It is one of the 50 must-see sites of a lifetime. And the UNESCO also speaks more or less similarly about the Thrissur Pura. It is a synopsis or compendium of Kerala culture. Many of the well-known aspects of Kerala culture can be enjoyed there in a nutshell during a span of just 36 hours. Yes. This is a site of the Thrissur Pura. Look at the elephants, caparisoned elephants, some of them supporting all the chapters as I told you, and the beautiful colorful umbrellas, and what is called the Aravata, that round thing with a black border. and the Benjamin. So beautiful thing there, attracting lots of people for that festival, including from abroad. Now, next. There are 6 things I have noticed which make up the cultural heritage of these festivals. That is, the majestic caparisoned elephant. In the churches we have them also. The Padani church still have the same festival with the elephants. The colorful umbrellas. Every church has dozens of colorful umbrellas. The Pudupalli church has 800 umbrellas. You did not see them when you went there, I know. But 800 umbrellas, because that is one of the votive offerings given to the Pudupalli church. So these umbrellas are nothing strange to the Christians. But when 15 umbrellas are shown in the ritual program, it becomes a world event. But in every small church also we have got dozens of umbrellas, but nobody bothers about those umbrellas. They don't care for our own. That's all. Kodamatam, this changing of the umbrellas is one of the festival things that. And then Kodiyattu, the flag hoisting is another important thing connected with any festival in a temple. And you know, in the churches also it is the same. And we have also the metal sheath, Kodimalams or Dwajastambas or flagstones. Earlier we had in about 6 or 7 churches in 1970 when I took the photographs. But now there are in a lot of churches you will find the metal sheath flagstones. And the processions. There are 4 types of processions, one inside the church, the second one going out and circling the open air granite cross coming back to the church, the third surrounding the church, and the 4th the street procession. Such processions are there in our country, a lot of them, very, very interesting processions. These are also in the Tripura. The drums and the musical instruments are, and the fireworks. Vertical in Malayalam. The fireworks. In the churches, this is a famous thing. Now, all these things we speak about other community, they were in the churches much earlier. That is a fact. But we don't know about that. And we don't care about that. And so we go to the other festivals where they are very great things. Because we don't know anything about our festivals. Next. I am giving some of this information is available in the Jornada, now published by LRC in English translation. Next. Already in 1999, at the Synod of Bayamba, there were more than 100 well-built churches of the Thomas Christians. 400 years back, or even more. More than 100 well-built churches. The names of the churches are available. The date of founding the church is available. But of course, I am not giving them now. Next. This is the other famous book by Geddes, the history, the first English book written about our church, 1694. Of course, all these books I have reprinted in famous hands. No more copies available. Yes. The costume. I spoke earlier about the costume. The white dress worn by the women, and also the women are also wearing a fan-like arrangement at the back, showing their modesty. Stop. Anytime. I stop saying I am not going to complete. So I give 5 minutes. I don't know what I should talk about. Of course, question time. There are some questions. Next, the cutting of the Syrian Christians. Yes. The churches of the time of Jornada next. This is the Anamadi, or the elephant wall of all old churches. Elephant wall. Next. This is the Kalupara church and typical Kerala architecture. And you know there is a 3-tier roofing pattern. The tallest for the Madbaha, the middle one for the nave or the Hekala, and the Mukhamandapam or the portico and the lobes. This is another such beautiful examples of carpentry available in the churches, very ancient. Yes. And this is Yoni. Linga and Yoni of the temples also to be found in some churches because those were temple-like places converted, they say. This is from the Kundara church. Recently I made that copy of sacristy to dig it out again because it is gone down. Or in Agaparma you have the same. In Malayu you have all this Linga and Yoni. Next. This is the pranam in the church. All the churches are built at the top of a hill. This is the Pravalangad church. You have to climb it in the maybe 20, 30, 40 steps to reach to the top of the Pravalangad church. All churches built at the highest place in the village for the location. Granite cross. This is in Muttichara. The cross, I have a lot to say about the cross. I don't know. See, the crosses are, one cross was fallen down and still it is only not preserved properly. At least they have to keep it in the veranda so that people could see that. But all types of things are growing and so that they could not see. Every time I go, I try to cut down the grass. But next time I come, it grows again. But there are no time nor money for such small things. Yes, this is the Provalangad church in the year 1924. Photo taken because of Father Hostel. Next. This is my own church for you, one of the biggest churches, but only not that old, only 300 years old. Photo taken in 1904, given me by Mr. Brownry, in charge of the South Asia tombs of the Europeans. Yes. And this is that already shown by previously the Kalakriti baptismal font. Next. And these are some statues. These are the elephants carrying the beam from the Hindu church. Next. This is from the Payekara church, the elephant carrying the beam, and we see the bell also. Next. This is the elephant of Mara Friends Cathedral. Next. This is an elephant falling down in Malayatu. And I asked them to protect it, keep it in the Kakinada Museum. But they contacted them, they said there are some problems we cannot give you. Then next, the director of the Kakinada Museum, I asked him to contact them. They said, there are no such elephants. But I have hundreds of photographs of these elephants falling down there in the Malayatu. The candles, wood carved candles, lot of the art, wood carved. Kerala wood carving is so famous, I think the whole world. I think I have visited 26 or 27 countries. Nothing to compete our carpenters in the making of the wood carvings. These are the ramshetis. You must have noticed them when you went to the temple here. These are wooden flowers, so to say. Well, you cannot have natural flowers. This was obviously on the alternate ways. Yes, and at the back of that you have the Payekara St. George in Mural. Next, previous. Okay, doesn't matter. This is the next. St. George, mural paintings of the Payekara church. St. George is the most popular saint because of maximum number of people in Kerala are called St. George. Vergis, George. Not because it is the patron saint of England, but it is an ancient Eastern saint. But the name most popular in England, as I have found out from the British Museum, is Thomas. Thomas Becket, Thomas More, Thomas Cromwell. And even the phrase is every Tom, Dick and Harry. The most popular name because King Alfred won the war only because of the help of St. Thomas in my life. Yes. Anglo-Saxon Chronicles 893, I think. These are on Anna Wadil, elephant doors. This is Tumbaman Church, this is the Padua Church. These are all crosses, the pedestal of all crosses. Next. Yes, I think my time is up and I think I will stop. These are the wedding ornaments, the crowns worn by the bride and the bridegroom. With that good note, I think I will stop. Thank you. Our churches, including the authorities, are not able to protect these things because they have no time, no money for such small things, I suppose. Although we have got now 1 or 2 museums, 3 or 4 of them, I think I started myself, one in Palayu, one at Kakanad, and now in Pala there is a museum, in Menacherry there is a museum. A few efforts are made to preserve some of these things. But the murals, not sufficient. Yes.
From the point of view of inculturation, I think there are mutual borrowings from the part of the Christians and from the part of the Hindus who surround the Christians. For example, Kodimara, or today's religious practices of some of the Hindu sections to have Sunday worships. So formerly they never had. The Hindus did not have an organized catechism. So I think there is also a renaissance of Hinduism and a manier in the style of Christianity. So about Kodimara, did we borrow from the temple or the temple borrowed from the Christians?
About the first thing, definitely Hinduism has many of its institutions now on the pattern of Christianity. Even the marriage, monogamy among the liars, because they were having polyandry. But now, more or less, like the Christian, this is an influence of Christianity even among the Muslims in the Islam. There are one person could marry 4 persons and so on. But now, because of Christianity, this has changed them very much. And they are even having premarital classes, the Hindus and even the Islam. Now, about the other thing, about the Kodimara. Now, the flag was an important feature of Buddhist culture. And from that time onwards, probably we also had the flag. Hindus also had the flag from the Buddhist culture possibly, but in Kerala, because they come later, that thing might be later perhaps, but I am not sure. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.